Hello everyone. So in this session we will discuss IRB IEC Institutional Review Board and Independent Ethical Committee, one of the most important bodies in the clinical research. IRB IEC is an independent committee responsible for reviewing, evaluating, approving the scientific and ethical aspect of the clinical trial. So the main objective of IRB IEC to protect the right of the participant, right safety of the participant, to ensure safety of the subjects, safeguard the well-being of the trial participants. No clinical trial involving human subject can begin without IRB ISC approval. So as we already discussed, without approval, sponsor will not able to conduct clinical trial. So IRB is also known as different names such as independent ethical committees like IEC, ethical review board, ERB, research ethics board like REB, but the purpose remains same, that is participant protections, right safety of the participant protection. Okay. So a comprehensive guide to understand the rule, compositions and procedures of IRB and ISC in this session. So what is mean by IRB IAC? IRB and IAC serves as an independent body that reviews, evaluate, approves, and make decision on scientific and ethical aspects of the clinical trial protocol, as well as the benefit risk to the study participants. So the main purpose is to protect right, safety, well-being of the subject who participate in the clinical trial. So IRB means Institutional Review Board and IEC means Independent Ethical Committee. So understanding IRB and IIC functions. So the main function of IRB and IIC is protection. IRB protect people participating in the clinical trial by ensuring their safety, well-being throughout the research process. Review and approval. A group of scientists, doctors, patients, advocates that review, approve the set details plan for the clinical trial. Compliance. So IRB and IAC, they are also responsible to check the trials are well being designed, legal, ethical, includes comprehensive safety plans for the patient. So basically, they will check clinical trials should be conducted as per the ICH GCP guideline. Okay. Then ethics, also known as the Independent Ethical Committee and Ethical Review Board, Research Ethics Board. Okay. So every healthcare facility conducting clinical research has IRB, and every trial must be reviewed before it begins. So as we already discussed, the main so these are the functions of IRB IAC. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So we will see the composition of IRB and IAC. So IRB and IAC must consist of at least 7 members who collectively possesses the qualifications and experience to review, evaluate the science, medical aspects, ethics of proposed clinical trials. So those who are involved in review and approval of protocol and study related document, they should have a proper qualifications and they should have a experience in the clinical trials. So in IRB, so the first. So, as per the regulatory guideline, IRB ISC must consist of at least 7 members. So, this member collectively should have a qualifications and experience to review scientific validity, medical aspects, ethical concerns. So, this typically composition includes chairman, appointed individual who is outside the institutions. Then, second is one or two scientists with fundamental medical research expertise. They should have a fundamental medical research expertise in the clinical trial. Then clinicians, one or two clinicians from various institutions, one legal experts or retired judge also required in IRB and ISC committee. One social scientist with research methodology expertise. One philosopher, ethicist specializing in clinical research ethics. One layperson, one community member representing public perspective. Okay. And one member secretary appointed administrative support. So these are the members, or these are the composition of IRB ISC. So this diverse composition ensures that decisions are balanced from medical, legal, ethical, and community perspective. So let's move on to the next slide. So responsibilities of IRB ISC. First is safeguard right. protect the right, safety, well-being of the trials subject through the rigorous ethical review, review proposed clinical trial within reasonable time frames, document review views in the writing. So, and continuous review, conduct continuous review of each ongoing trial at least once in a year. Payment transparency, ensure payment information to the subject is clearly stated in the informed consent form. So, as we already discussed, the primary responsibilities, right, safety, well-being of the participants. Then community or IRB, ISC, they evaluate risk versus benefit in the clinical trials of IMP molecules. Then confidentiality measures. This is also very important in the clinical trial. As per the ICH GCP guideline, sponsor or anyone, they are not supposed to disclose any patient sensitive information with anyone. Then safety monitoring plan also is very important for continuous monitoring of risk benefit profile of IMP molecules. So, review of clinical trial protocol, IRB must review like study protocol, investigator brochure, informed consent form, recruitment materials. So they must document their decisions in written writing within the reasonable time. Then continuous review, like approval is not permanent. Like in clinical trial, once uh, uh, clinical trial approved, then IRB conduct ongoing review at least once in a year. Review of amendments, review of safety updates, if any protocol updates updated, or if any IB updated. So they are responsible for review of updated documents. Then review of payment participants. If the participants are compensated, so IRB ensures payment amount is appropriate. Payment details are clearly mentioned in the informed consent form. So this prevents unethical clinical trials. Okay. So uh, we'll see the procedures of IRB and ISC. So the first is determine compositions. So establish its composition and the authority under which it operates. Schedule meeting. Uh, like committee define its structure, scope of authority, terms of reference. Then planned notify members and conduct regular review meetings. Like a member are notified in advance, meetings are conducted formally, minutes are recorded, meeting minutes are recorded for the documentation purpose. Then conduct review, perform initial and continuous review of all clinical trials. Written approval, no subjects admitted to trial before written IRB ISC approval. Okay, initial review before study start, periodic review during the study. Okay, no participant can be enrolled before written approval is issued from the IRB ISC. Then reporting requirement, investigator must promptly report protocol deviations, serious adverse events to the regulatory authorities, IRB, ISC, then unexpected adverse drug reactions or any risk to the participants. So this ensures continuous oversight. Okay. So yeah. So this is the process of IRB EC approval. So IRB IEC conduct thorough evaluation of all submitted protocol, considering scientific validity, ethical implications, and participant safety before granting approval. So this is the uh, approval process for study related documents or any clinical trial related process. Like first sponsor will submit protocol documents, IRB, investigator vouchers or any other study related documents. Then within specified period of time, IRB, they will review all the documents and they will provide final approval, okay, based upon information provided in the submitted documents. So maintenance of IRB ISC records. So record retention, IRB ISC retain all relevant records for at least 3 years after the trial completion. So once sponsor completed clinical trial, whatever data collated from the clinical trial, so IRB ISC, they maintain records for at least 3 years, for at least next 3 years for the documentation purpose or for audit or inspection purpose. Available upon request. So record made available to the regulatory authority when requested. Required documents, written procedures, member occupations and affiliations, then submitted documents, meeting minutes. Sharing records may provide copies to the investigator, sponsor, and regulatory authorities. Okay, like a written SOP, member list, qualifications, submitted documents, meeting minutes, approval letters. So this record must be kept for at least 3 years after the trial completion. Regulatory authority may request this record during the inspections. So transparency and documentations are very important. So what are the key takeaways from this independent oversight? Like independent oversight, IRB, IEC provide essential independent reviews protecting participant right safety. Diverse compositions, at least 7 members with a varied expertise ensures comprehensive evaluations, ongoing responsibility, continuous review, and documentation requirement to ensure ongoing trial integrity. Understanding IRB ISC process is a fundamental to conducting ethical, compliant clinical research that prioritize participants' welfare. Okay, so this is all about IRB and ISC roles and responsibility in clinical trials.